Powering off.
That's it. No more music. Listen, I've been so degenerate for the past like 4 days. So we have to go back to intellectual right now. Maybe I'll make a video on this bipolarity. We're talking about the Anima. I've said I'm going to make this video so many times, bro. An unreal amount of times. And now we're actually going to do it. I'm hella cracked out right now, bro. I just drank a Celsius. I don't drink caffeine that much. Like, damn. Shit's crazy. It's probably so poisonous for you. You have to drink 9 cups of alkaline water to balance out the damage it does to your stomach's pH. We're talking about the Anima. Finally. Maybe I'll include Anima archetypes in this. I'm not really sure. I don't really want to, because I don't understand it well enough to be going crazy on it. Alright. So what is the Anima? What does this mean in Jungian psychology? The Anima is the unconscious woman within, it literally means like hidden woman within man's unconscious. But in Latin, Anima means soul, right? So soul, spirit, body, right? We talked about this with alchemy. And Jung loves alchemy, which is understandable. These are pages 186 to 199 from Man and His Symbols. The section is by M. L. von Franz. The Anima is defined as female personification of man's unconscious. Often exists behind the shadow as it is unconscious. Well, what does it do? It manifests female psychological tendencies in the male psyche, and it is responsible for attraction. Just like the rest of the unconscious, it's going to be doing projections, right? So your unconscious is projections. You see someone of a race, you think these traits that you associate with that race because you saw other people do it, right? It's an unconscious, you could call it a concept in normal psychology. It's an archetype, right? So it's responsible for vague feelings and moods, prophetic hunches. The sensation of knowing something will occur without sufficient evidence to create the thought. Hence why I always say women are much more tapped into psychic understanding, as in psychic, like reading people's thoughts, not like your psyche, right? Which is interesting. Women do that. You know the saying, like, the mother always knows or whatever? It's real. It's a weird thing. And I don't think it's just that they're, like, reading body language better than men. I think, like, something with them, they're better tapped into the spiritual. It's this weird thing. And that's why, like, women have always been involved in tribes, is like clairvoyance, kind of, in historical times. Anyways, reception of the irrational. It sounds so funny. No, but, like, listen, for whatever reason, women have such better intuition, right? We talk about the different senses. Intuition is one of them. And they're way, way better with it. And I think a good theory for this could be because they're much less logical. They don't need things to add up perfectly. They just need to feel like it makes sense. You know? And I don't say that to be, like, rude. I feel like I sound so misogynistic every time I talk about women. Anyways, the ability to love, having a love for nature, and man's relation to the unconscious. Right? So these are the 6 main things that this is going to do. The Anima is shaped by the man's mother. Oh, Freud actually got that right. Even though he was a weird guy, he was a genius in psychology. Right, and so that's where the whole Freudian idea of, like, you're attracted to women that are like your mother. I read the other day that men are more attracted to women who have a bone structure similar to their mother. Right, like it goes down to a T. Oedipus complex, low-key real. It sets the Anima, right? Because, think about it, it's the unconscious perception of woman. It's the woman archetype, right? So you think of woman, and it's going to be mostly built by your mother, because that's the woman that you experienced a lot with when you were young, which is very key. If the mother was negatively influential, the man may experience Anima expression in touchiness, in irritable, anxious, or depressed mood, insecurity, uncertainty, and an overall neurotic and low ego. The repetition of the feminine nothingness thought loop, which is, I'm nothing. Nothing makes sense. Others are different, but for me, I enjoy nothing. Anima moods such as dullness and passivity, anxiety about illness / the uncontrollable. Life takes on a sad, oppressed tone, otherwise known as being passive in depressed thought cycles. When the anima takes on this form, she becomes a death demon, unconsciously driving conscious thought to sustain negative passive lens. One fixated on a low ego affect, sometimes driving a man to suicide. This is represented in Cocteau's film Orphée. I don't know how to say it. I think it's French. Destructive unconscious illusion. Right? A personality of frequent waspish, poisonous to believe, and feminine remarks, taglines, and ideas. The anima in this case is cold and reckless. Right? If the man mitigates these effects, he can use them to serve his masculinity, converting feminine to masculine. Whoa, wait, converting feminine to masculine? I wonder if this is like individuation, converting unconscious to conscious, lunar to solar, right? But you need both, conjuntivo, okay? Jung didn't write this is just me. The daemon / unconscious mind is responsible for projections, which is why the anima accounts for how you receive female archetypes, right? You see someone, immediate judgment, every time, right? During the time in which I trusted my anima and allowed myself to be within its grip, I thought women were fine and excused in their logic as to have a level of reason. During this time, I was in an unconscious / feminine state. Then following the transition to a masculine conscious active state, through a week of Adderall-fueled introspection and analysis, I awoke. Waking up is becoming conscious. Snow White eats the apple, achieving gnosis. This is so off topic. Snow White eats the apple. She bites the apple like Adam and Eve, achieving knowledge of good and evil, and she falls asleep. She becomes unconscious. She cannot directly connect God. That's such a insane theory, but it actually makes sense. It pretty much goes to say that if you have sex, you can't speak to God directly, premaritally. Very interesting. Whole different deal, though. Whole different deal. Anyways. And from such, I began to balance the mind in my favor. Resentment, distrust, and conscious avoiding of mental feminine principle began, and with it came the projection of my sensation toward my anima unto women. I no longer positively viewed women at this point. Alright, listen. I had a bad anima, okay? And then I realized, it's all this, right? This was before I even knew Jung. I connected it. I was like, it's this weird passivity, negativity thought loop thing. On some low ego. And when I shifted that, I stopped liking women and believing in their thought processes. It's not that I don't like them, right? Obviously I do. I'm not gay. It pisses me off so much when people suggest that. You don't like women? Are you gay? Shut the fuck up. But it's the way that you receive women is representative of your relationship with your anima. This is theory, okay? This is not Jung. Does this make sense, though? So you're speaking to a woman. If you think, wow, she's really intelligent and we're equal, then your relationship to your anima is positive. You view it in a good light, right? If you meet a woman and you think, This bitch is stupid. That's how you view your anima, right? Okay, now we're going to move to a positive experience with the mother. And it's a gross generalization to say that you had a negative or positive experience with your mother, right? Everyone has positives and negatives. But just, you just have to evaluate it, you know? You have to really consider all the aspects. If the experience is positive, the man may experience becoming effeminate, being preyed upon by women due to projecting positive traits upon them. Either of these things will result in a difficulty coping with life. He may become a sentimentalist. He may be touchy. He may be sensitive physically and emotionally. He may have an overt draw to riddles and reflection, such as this neurotic pseudo-intellectual that ponders so heavily he cannot participate in reality/normal life, being too concerned with things. He cannot live truly as he has lost spontaneity and outgoing feeling. Most of these results can be attributed to the fact that when you like someone, you will unconsciously mimic their traits. It also has to do with the transference phenomenon. Right. Unconscious transference of traits. The Psychology of Transference book by Carl Gustav Jung. I actually have it right here. The Psychology of Transference. Other essays. Right. So, the anima is responsible for attraction. Okay? And that's why you must be like the girl's father when you're with her. Okay? This is a quote now. The most frequent manifestations of the anima takes the form of erotic fantasy, page 189. Men typically engage this through porn and daydreaming. This is the crude and primitive manifestation of the anima, and it becomes compulsive when man doesn't foster genuine feeling relationships or when his life attitude remains infantile. When a man is ruled by the trickster archetype, this is a compulsive matter. Think about a middle schooler who's trapped in lust. He doesn't have a mature attitude towards life and is very compulsive towards his sexual desire. He is also of the anima archetype of Hawa/Eros, which is, I'm like 99% sure that it's the view that women are around for sex and only sex, right? Like they haven't evolved in your head. But we're going to look it up in my notes. But yeah, I'm like 99% sure that that's what it is. Bro, there's so many notes to look through. Okay, Hawa is, purely biological. Woman equating to the mother, purely to be fertilized. Earth is what it means. So that's the first level of anima archetype in maturity. The second level is dominated by the sexual eros. Eros is like love in Greek or something like that. I'm not even sure. Despite being dominated by such, as the woman has acquired value as an individual. Wait, what? Despite being dominated by such, the woman has acquired value as an individual. So she has some value. She's not just for being bred, right? Now she has aesthetic and a romantic level, right? So like, oh, you're my girlfriend. We're on a nice date. You know, but like, it's still just for having children. Okay. As mentioned earlier, the unconscious and anima and shadow are all responsible for projections. It is the anima that causes man to fall in love, quote, at first sight, as he feels he has known the woman a long time. This is when the anima fits a woman. The man falls in love so fast he seems mad. And then this is a quote from Jung. Women of fairy-like character especially attract such anima projections, because men can attribute almost anything to a creature so fascinatingly vague. Right, so like, I meet a girl, and she fits my archetype of what every woman is in my unconscious. Bam, fall in love, because she's just matched exactly what I understand women as, you know? So, like, if I understand women as not being whores, and then I talk to a girl, and she's, like, texting a bunch of dudes, I'm gonna be like, this is disgusting. If I attribute women as housewife, trad girl, right? And I meet housewife trad girl. Yeah, I cook and stuff, and like, I just don't think it's good how so many of these girls are doing this. And yeah, like, I go to church every week, and then I'm gonna fall in love. That's it. It's raps, right? And Jung talks a lot about how this causes cheating and it ruins marriages. Just hilarious, right? Because it's like, I mean, it's not hilarious, right? Like, that's a terrible thing. But he says that it's like, if I'm married to a girl and yeah, she somewhat fits my anima, like, I'm like good enough, right? Because how many people are meeting a wife that they're like perfect on, that they're like 100, you know? Not many. So if I meet a girl and I'm like settling, and then I meet another girl and she perfectly fits the archetype, she's like how I understand the woman should be, she's like my mother, bam, in love, cheating, gone. And same thing happens with women with the animus, right? Which is literally the man, the unconscious hidden man within her mind, right? But it's not the same attributes, it's very different stuff. Maybe I'll do a video on the animus at some point, but not today. Oh, this is a quote that literally says what I just said. This phenomenon can prove dangerous to a committed relationship, as men can fall in love ever so quickly on such passionate and deep scale if the woman fits his anima. The purpose of the anima causing such issues forces a man to bring his own being to maturity by integrating more of his unconscious personality into his real life. It follows the Jungian idea that the unconscious is constantly pushing individuation through dreams, symbols, archetypes, and challenge. Right. So it's just going to push you more. And Jung talks a lot about the anima in his books. He says that it's the collective principle within the mind, right? So like people have dreams where it's like he was talking about one of his patients had a dream that he was in a church and there's all these people in there, and he's like, yeah, it's a symbol for the anima, because the church has always been a symbol for feminine, right? And I talked about that in the Revelation 17 Jung video. Whatever. I think it was 17. Yeah. So the positive aspects of the anima allows for man to find marriage partner as she fits his wife archetype, aka defines what clicks with a man. It allows man to tap into illogically defined truths held in the unconscious he otherwise could not see. It tunes man's mind to correct inner values, opening the way to more profound inner depths. The anima takes the role of the mediator or guide to the mind and self, allowing for better understanding. The anima is not all negative, even though I just listed a bunch of negative traits. When the anima is in her proper positive role and and you're individuated, okay? Like, you can't have no understanding of the anima and it's serving a positive role. She serves as a mediator between the self and the ego and the fourfold nucleus. Okay, the self and the ego. When individuated, as explained earlier, through making unconscious conscious, via analysis, time, and exploration, the anima truly guides and fills its positive role. The analysis must be fixed on fantasy, and without doubt, it is merely fantastical. The painful decision to take fantasy and feeling seriously greatly improves the individuation process. Bam! That's it. Okay? I hope that you guys can understand. I really do. I haven't looked at these notes in a minute, so there's probably parts I left out. Yeah, I could break down the anima archetypes. I'll do it in a different video. I do not hate women. Okay? Everything is fine. You should see what Nietzsche said about women. It's hilarious. Make your anima good. I mean, you can't, but make it at least conscious, so you know, so that stops dragging you down, right? It's honestly, it's kind of bad if you have a bad or good anima, right? Both of them are leading you to terrible things. But the death demon anima is so real, and I see that in so many people. I'm actually very concerned for my anima attributes and stuff like that, because, like, a lot of the women that I'm like, she's wife, I'm like, what the fuck? Why do I think that? You know? Yeah, but this is where the whole thing of, like, mentally ill women, like, if her dad's an addict, she loves drug addicts. You know? If your mom was, like, neglectful, you love a neglectful girl. Stuff like this. Right? It's like these archetypes. And yeah, it's not the same. It's not the exact same. No, she has to be exactly like this, but it has to have the same affect on you and your psyche. Right? But yeah, the anima is responsible for intuition, which is extremely key to dial down. Because it's weird, once you tap into unconscious intuition and stuff like that, you, like, actually know the future. You know, it's the strangest thing, but most people don't do it right. But I mean, Jung talks about it all the time. The animus, honestly, I think proves more problematic for women than the anima does for men. Because the anima for men, like, yeah, you might kill yourself. You might like some women that are evil and stuff like that if you had a bad mother. But the animus for women is like what makes girls have what's that? Is it Stockholm syndrome, where they fall in love with their, like, murderer or whatever, the guy that kidnapped them? All that stuff. Like, you know, these girls will be, like, thirsting over a murder in a court case on TikTok. You ever see that? Yeah. Animus. She had a terrible father. No, I get concerned when mentally ill women want me, or, like, a girl with daddy issues. Do you know how many girls I've dated that had divorced parents? 1, 2. It's only like 4. But that's too many. It's too many. Yeah, that's why daddy issue girls are whores. That explains it, the animus. But I'm not even talking about the animus, bro. I really need to make a separate video on it. Yeah, that's it. Comment below any thoughts. Thank you for listening. First upload in a minute, bro. In a minute. I haven't even been looking at my channel. I've just been on such stupid, crazy stuff lately. Let's see, do I have any notifications? Some dude commented, drop your notes. I don't know how to do that. If anyone knows how I can upload notes, please comment. I don't have Twitter. That's all.